necklace. There we go. Hi, everybody. I'm also going to be going live on my TikTok page because I have a larger following there and I'm still growing here over on YouTube. So give me a minute while I get that up. And we're going to just be talking about a bunch of different conversations around the human experience. For people who are new here, this is my 5-star rated self-help book. If you want to learn how to work with your emotions, thoughts, behaviors, if you want a book that's comprehensive, check out my book. You can find it by going to drabenaberry.com. I will make sure to put that on the screen later, or if I can. I don't know. Can I put it in the chat? Sure. I'm sure I can. Does that work? I'm sure it does. Like I said, I'm new here to YouTube, but not new to content creating. Just so people know, though, my book is still for readers of all backgrounds, races, identity. It does have representation for the Black community, but the mental health knowledge is universal. It's about the human brain. So the breakdown is about 96% of it focuses on mental health knowledge that applies to everyone. And then the other 4% has representation for the Black community to increase representation within the mental health space for the underserved. And also, to help with decreasing stigma. Savannah, I'm also going to be going live on TikTok. I just haven't pressed it yet. I was doing like my little blurb intro to YouTube. Let me get that out real quick before I get on TikTok because they don't like that. Okay. I'm still figuring out this whole going live multiple places thing. So we'll bear with me. Bear with me as I learn. There we go. Okay. Ooh, back that up a little. Okay. So today, my plan is I want to just have more of a conversation today. I'm going to be doing less of like reading from the book and stuff. I only have like 50 minutes before I have to go. So I thought this would be a great day to just kind of have conversation about things that people want to know about their human experiences. Hey, Nikki, welcome in. So I'm going to be more so like answering questions like I sometimes do, Savannah, or whatever is on people's mind, essentially, that they want to talk about. Hi, welcome in. Hello, hello. I'm also curious to see what happens on my TikTok because I don't know. I just things are so different on there now. Things are so different now. So we'll see. So far, very slow. So we'll see what happens. Maybe. Yeah, do that. That's okay, Savannah. Yeah, do that. Because I'm still over here, like, growing on this platform. So, yeah, having you over here will probably be better. Hey, M, welcome in. Hello, hello. No, sorry. I don't know who that is. I appreciate you, Savannah. Oh, wow. This is so different. So different. I might just start talking and then seeing where the conversation takes us. So I want to be able to answer people's questions today. For people who are new here, my name is Dr. Abena Berry. I am a clinical psychologist. I want to have more of like a flowy conversation today about just whatever's on people's minds related to the things that you're struggling with as a human being, right? There's so much that goes into the human experience. Hey, good to see you. Welcome in. Thanks for being here. Thank you for getting the likes going. I really appreciate it. I'm only going to be able to be on for about like 50 minutes. So I really just want to have as much of a rich conversation as we can. I'm in the mood to talk today. I want to talk about how we can keep breaking generational curses, how we can better respond to our human experiences. That's just the mood giving that today. Be doing less of like reading like I sometimes do, and instead just want to have conversation because I haven't done that in a while. Hey, Carlos, welcome in. Welcome. So yeah, I'm curious, like, how have you all been doing? What topics are on people's mind? You can literally just like, maybe we should do like a roulette thing where you just kind of throw out a topic and then I will just talk about whatever comes out. Her Divine, welcome in. Good to see you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for the heart me. I appreciate it. And thank y'all for getting the likes going. That helps. I'm also trying to see how TikTok live operates nowadays because things are so different. I don't, if I told you, Zoloft. I don't remember if you told me about that in particular. But that's, I mean, I think that's good, right? It depends. I want to say that's good, but it depends on how you're experiencing being on Zoloft. But you already know how I feel about medication. I think it's just important that we see it as a supplement to our like journeys of regulating ourselves or managing ourselves, but we don't want to ever allow medication to be the end all be all, because then we're giving up our power and the importance of our skills, right? Like we want to keep honing our ability to manage our emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. It's kind of like why you wouldn't want to just use I think you can say this on here, ChatGPT, and not still practice thinking for yourself and trying to come up with things, because what you don't use, you lose. And we have to like nurture the skills within ourselves. So we never want to use anything as the end all be all. We want to still be stimulating our minds, but medications can definitely be helpful. And is often needed at certain stages of our journey. Hi, Lauren. Good to see you. Thanks for the heart me. We're just having conversations. So I would love if y'all just like, one, keep the likes going because that helps, because TikTok is different now. So, and share it out. Let people know I'm here. I'm only going to be here for 45 minutes. So let's try to have as many people in here as we can. But also I want to just have discussion about whatever's on you all's mind. So this is a chance to like ask whatever mental health questions you have. Whatever topic, even if you don't have a question, but you have a topic you want me to talk about, that's what I'm doing today. So you can throw out anxiety, you can throw out trauma, you can what I don't know, whatever's on your mind, whatever is on your mind is helping me. But I am making sure right now we're talking about medication, just in case people are just coming in, like mental health medication. It is helping me, but I am making sure I learn coping skills and use them. Great. That's how we want to do things. We want to be utilizing multiple things to kind of help ourselves. So I love that you're still practicing your coping skills. Yeah, never give up your power and your ability. Hi, Shorty. Welcome in. Good to see you. Happy Thursday. I hope you've been doing well. Sandy, welcome in. Hello, hello. Sudani, welcome in. I know. It's so good to see you. How have you been? We're just having conversation today, talking about all things human experience and answering whatever questions people have about their human experience or whatever they're struggling with. I know one common topic that comes up is relationship stuff, relationship management, how to navigate difficult people. Maybe we should talk about that for a little bit. How to also determine whether or not we're a difficult person, right? Because we always want to talk about other people and their journey and their growth. But we're sometimes a little hesitant to self-reflect. Okay, I see Savannah saying yes. So let's talk about that topic for a little bit, because that's a very, very common one. Yeah, Lauren, like if it's always that we're like, everybody else is so difficult, there's probably something about us that we're not addressing too that could help our experiences. But one of the things I get asked often when I tell people that I sometimes intentionally choose to have difficult conversations with people who I know are less likely to be receptive in that conversation. The reason why I choose to do that is, one, I always want to give people a chance within reason, right? Without overextending myself, without giving too much, right? I want to, within reason, give people opportunities for self-reflection, because I'm so grateful for the people who do that for me, right? It's a major part. Hi, Grasshopper, welcome in. Good to see you. How's all your art making going? It's great. It's really important that we be mirrors for one another, right? And allowing ourselves to take that feedback in. Of course, somebody's delivery matters, but part of why I decide to have difficult conversations with quote unquote difficult people is so that they still have spaces where people are giving them a chance. Now, I'm not going to do that all the time, and I'm not going to do that in a way that is harming me, right? But I understand that, like, being seen and being given compassion and empathy is a catalyst to change for people. And some people, because they're so lost in the cycles of their trauma response behaviors, they don't get a lot of opportunities like that. People are understandably so tired and fed up, and I get those things, but if our goal overall is to be trying to evolve as ourselves and then help society improve, it's like somebody has to give those chances at least some of the time. So when I have the time and energy, I try to be that person for people. But another reason why I do that is because I need practice myself, right? How do we improve our communication skills in difficult situations if we don't take opportunities to practice? I value being someone who has healthy conflict resolution skills. Hi, Christine. Good to see you too. Healthy conflict resolution skills, and somebody who's able to kind of navigate those moments. And so you have to practice. You have to practice, but you also have to regulate yourself. You have to know when it is not the time for you to be engaging, when you maybe need to come back, and try at a different time, because regulation is so important. So that's a part of navigating these difficult relationships, or I would say conversations, because a lot of times if somebody is stuck in a cycle that they're not at all open to addressing, you can't really have a relationship with them. But that doesn't mean that you, like a deep one, but that doesn't mean that you can't still at times engage in meaningful conversation that they're often deprived of. Because what I don't want to do is be an enabler to that person's stagnancy, or nor do I want anyone to be an enabler to mine. So you got to find the balance. I see there's been a lot of comments, so I want to catch up for a second. It's so weird having these AI summaries in here now. That's maybe we should talk about AI. Okay, anyway. Oh my gosh, so nice to catch you live. Really needed your voice. Oh, Sage, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for all that you do and all that you are. I really appreciate your support on here. I call it practicing the pause. I don't address things while brain is hot. Yes, Lauren, that is great. That is key to emotional intelligence and emotional regulation. Feeling stagnant for too long, but taking it day by day, trying to be present, taking salsa classes. Fun. That is fun and freeing. I love that you're doing that. Yeah, we're definitely going to have chapters of life where we feel a loss, like that just happens. So when that happens, it's inevitable. One, you want to accept that it's inevitable. Two, you want to focus on when this happens again, or when it is happening, how do I slow down and start doing exactly what you said, which was to kind of take it, be present, take it moment by moment, and figure out what do I need, or how can I respond differently to what's coming up for myself, and just giving yourself some grace, because you will get the train back on the tracks. We always do. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You as well. I had to take a break on my art. Oh, you're pregnant. Oh my gosh. Congratulations. Oh, you're doing July. That's amazing news. Huge congratulations. Hi, words. Welcome in. Amaya. Yes, Amaya. Thanks for the follow. Welcome in. Gen X Warrior. Hello, hello. Okay, yeah. So any other topics? So we talked a little bit about difficult people. What else do we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about the importance of us? Hi, the importance of us being. Oh, thank you so much, Christine. I've never even seen this one. That's so cute. I love you too. Do we want to talk about the importance of kind of being mindful of all the things that are going on right now around us in terms of technological advancements? I feel like that's a really important conversation. And also we have to remember, yes, okay, capital yes, all right. So, because it's a really important conversation. So I need us, number one, to remember, I don't think that, this is my opinion, right? I don't necessarily think that AI is all bad. I don't think it has to be, but I do think that because we continue to advance technologically a lot faster than we are mentally and emotionally, we're in trouble. Right. And you all hear me talk about the different ages that we have all the time, right? Hopefully the people who've been rocking with me for a while, you know, the 3 ages. And if you forgot, it's biological. That's the one that's your birthday candles, right? How many candles are on your birthday cake, right? Then we have the mental and emotional, right? Those are your 3 ages. And remember, biological, automatically you age. You don't have to do anything in particular. You just exist and you're biologically aging. Mentally and emotional, mental age and emotional age, those are effortful. Those are a product of our experiences. Those are a product of how much we're nurturing ourselves and how much other people are nurturing us and our development. And keep in mind, your development happens your whole life. It's not just like childhood, but though that is a very, very, very imperative, pivotal time in life, of course. So when we think about all of that, and we still have a lot of people who are biologically, getting older, but mentally and emotionally not nurturing themselves or not in nurturing spaces because of a multitude of reasons, including unresolved generational trauma, just toxic ways of thinking as a whole that still are running rampant in our society. Like, we have this mindset that older equals wiser, as if this is like magic. And it's like, no, being older does not equal being wiser. You could be 6 decades in doing the same stuff. That does not mean you are living according to your wisdom. And you all know how I often talk about knowledge without application is wasted wisdom. So knowing something and doing things according to what you know are two different things. Also, people can be younger than you and be a lot wiser than you. It happens all the time. It depends on how we are living our life. The younger person who is intentionally reading books and getting help and stimulating themselves and seeking knowledge and breaking curses is likely going to be significantly wiser than the 70-year-old who is in a cycle and a pattern and refuses to acknowledge it and is constantly deflecting from accountability and defensive. So we have to be careful about these like black and white ways of seeing the world. The world is not black and white. Nothing is true all of the time. I cannot stress this enough. Nothing is true all of the time. And we also have to stop believing like stereotyped ways of thinking. They're not accurate. Most of the patterns that we're seeing are happening because people believe in the patterns, not because the patterns have to occur, right? We have a higher percentage of little boys saying their favorite color is blue because we have a high percentage of people conditioning little boys to believe their favorite color has to be blue. You see? So it's the belief that is causing the patterns. Anywho, so because all of that's still a problem, we have to think about what happens when technology continues to advance and advance and advance, but people are not being stimulated enough or learning enough about themselves and the inner workings of their mind. It's dangerous. It's genuinely dangerous. It's also dangerous because, and this is not an insult, it's just, again, it's where we're at in our development. Like the average person is still very naive. Like very, very, very naive, or so limited in their willingness to think for themselves, not even realizing it, right? It's a trauma response often. I can't tell you how often people will like be on a post. I'm sure y'all see this. Like somebody will be on a post of something, right? And they'll ask a question. And there's nothing wrong with asking questions. I don't want to say that, but like they ask a question that the amount of time it took them to type the question, whatever it was, they could have also typed that into another place where they could have just got the answer. So it's like, are you really trying to seek knowledge, or like what's happening? Because now you're depending on these other people to answer you in the comments, and they may or may not do that. So whatever. The point is, we just have to, I think, focus more on our mental and emotional development than we do technology right now. Like we need the energy that we're putting into technological advances. We need to be doing that and then some for our mental and emotional age. And then I think these things will be less concerning, right? And levels of empathy are not high enough. Levels of self-awareness are not high enough. Social skills are not high enough. Emotional intelligence is not high enough. Emotional regulation skills are not high enough for us to keep creating things that we are not evolved enough to truly handle responsibly. And so that's where I think the dangers come in. So hopefully that makes sense. Thank you, Dr. B. We are definitely excited. I do miss my spray painting. I'll get to it soon though. Yeah, because you can't spray paint while pregnant. It's not safe. So yeah, I know you're missing it. But in the meantime, you get to just be inspired, hopefully, and like get those creative juices flowing so that when you're ready to go back at it, you're gonna really go back at it. And people definitely follow Young Grasshopper. Young Grasshopper is an amazing, amazing artist. I have an art piece from Young Grasshopper that I cherish and love. So yeah, and the spray paint is such a cool medium to use. I think medium is the right word, right? I think so, right? I think so. Currently dealing with that. It's so lonely and depressing. Currently dealing with Sage. Currently dealing with what? Sorry, because I was saying so much. So glad you're on. I need. Oh yeah. Okay, I caught up. I caught up. Good. 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 Hi. Hi, Miss Tucker. Welcome in, friend. How are you doing? Hello. Hello. You are not too late. I'll still be on for another 30 minutes. PhD student. Hi. It's letting me know that you're watching, so I'm just saying hello. Okay, what else do we want to talk about? What else do we want to talk about? We're all things human right now. All things human. Can you speak on the loss of friends and psychosis? And psychosis and steps to recovery from the losses. Losing, like losing friends because you or the person is experiencing psychosis and their friends are pulling away. Is that what you mean? I just want to make sure I'm understanding before I respond. Okay, yes. Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought you meant, but I just wanted to double check. So, yeah, no, I think that's a really great question. I think this is also something that isn't talked about very often, right? Like, and I think we can just make it even a little more general too, like what can we do in the aftermath of maybe having gone through some kind of mental health struggle or crisis and we lost people during that time who pulled away for whatever reason, and trying to recover from that. So part of the recovery is definitely going to include grieving. Right. And so we already know with grief, that's something that we have to actively choose to engage in by acknowledging our feelings and thoughts around the loss, doing what we can to ride the waves of the intensity of the grief, right? So focusing on how do I continue to move through these emotions and thoughts. And a lot of that can come from deepening understanding, right? Deepening understanding of what occurred and why. Like, so being able to hold multiple truths in your mind essentially through that processing. So like reflecting on what things happened that maybe, obviously because of the state I was in or what I was going through at the time, I was not aware of the impact it was having the way I am now. But can I analyze those experiences and understand how that maybe led to hurt or confusion or other things that maybe cause people to pull away, and just trying to deepen understanding, right, of everyone and their feelings and their experiences, and holding space for that can help you move towards a place of peace. And it doesn't mean that you won't still have feelings about the abandonment, right? Or the desire to have had those people be there to support you, which I think is very understandable if these were friends. But just helping yourself basically through that perspective taking, try to gain some kind of comprehension of like why this may be ended the way that it did. Maybe these particular individuals felt ill-equipped to support someone that was going through that. And sure, there were other ways that they could have responded to that instead of just like pulling away altogether. But if we can help ourselves through that perspective taking, deepen some kind of understanding and explanation, even if it's not excusing anything, but just the explanation of things, it can help us find peace. Because without analyzing or processing, we're kind of just left with thinking like, these like over generalizations of things that can really hurt us further, of like, oh, I wasn't deserving of care, or like, oh, because I was this way, nobody's ever going to want to be my friend again. It can pull you into like these really extreme places that aren't helpful. Whereas when you really unpack what occurred, you can say like, oh no, I see, like I can deepen my understanding of how we maybe got to this place, and I can still take accountability for the things I'm accountable for, while also having empathy for the things I could not, fully control because of my mental health state at the time. Like it's a lot of it's just holding multiple truths, right? Like an understanding that all of that exists and explains, because things are nuanced. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, definitely allowing yourself to go through the grief. Okay, so feeling grief that sucks, trying to understand their side of the story. Got it. Yes. Yeah, it is hard. And it's going to take time, Sage. It's definitely this is everything I just said is not an overnight. It is a process. It is an unfolding. And also making sure that you're allowing yourself to have support and seek support during this time as well, from the relationships that you still have, or even seeking new relationships or support spaces. Okay, let me go back up because I know there were other comments. What you do if clients want to cry but can't let it out, but wants to? Great question. So if somebody wants to cry or needs to cry, right? It's usually a need and less of a want. But if someone needs to cry, and they're at a place where they're willing to acknowledge that there is like a blockage from doing that. Because sometimes people are in denial, right? They're like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. And you're like, they're not fine. But if somebody's at a place where they recognize that, like, this is something I have to reestablish comfort with and allow myself to do again, or whatever it may be, what you want to do is one, if you haven't already, because I'm assuming by this point you would have, if this person's in therapy, you'll start unpacking some of the experiences that like led to the disconnect there. I like to remind people that crying is something y'all already know. You hear me say this all the time. Crying is our first language, right? It is a biological need and ability that we come in the world doing openly without hesitation. So we then have to ask ourselves, what happened to me that I went from that to where I'm at? And that helps people move through the identity pieces that sometimes hold them stagnant. They're thinking like, yeah, I'm not someone who cries. And it's like, so if I were to go on a time machine and see you when you were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, you wouldn't have cried, right? You have to help them remember that, like, no, something happened that got us to this place. That opens the person up to the possibility of reestablishing connection, reestablishing comfort, because they no longer think that who they are right now is all they can be. And they understand that things happened that led to this conditioning. And then through practice, allowing them to be like, practice being present and sitting with what they're feeling, maybe noticing what's coming up in their body when they feel like they need to cry, but it's struggling to come out. So slowing things down and helping them sit with that discomfort and not run from it and like feel it in the body and allow it to move up and through can really help, almost like a meditative state. Also practicing watching things that maybe people have an easier, sorry, there's like a spam call. We get so many of those nowadays. Anyway, where people have an easier time, like feeling or allowing themselves to cry. A lot of times people will say like, yeah, if I watch this or I whatever, like I'll cry or I'll feel, I'll have a lot of emotion come up. And it's like, okay, let's sit with that and let's explore what about what you're watching is bringing that emotion up for you. And a lot of times it might just be the empathy for whatever, the empathy that they're feeling for someone else. But other times it might be that what they're watching is bringing up stuff that they've experienced, but they feel safer to release because they can make it about the movie or about the whatever. And it's like, okay. And if that feels safer, that's a good starting point. That's a good starting place. But we have to remind people that crying is not something that you are incapable of doing. It's something that trauma usually conditions you to pull away from. But when you remember your origin story, when you remember that this was your survival, the first year of your life was that first language of crying. When you remember that you used to be comfortable, sometimes that puts a fire in people to want to reconnect with themselves because they realize that it's not a lost cause or it's not, they aren't broken. It's that like, no, you developed this as a way to protect yourself. And now we just have to slowly and gradually like sit with self and allow ourselves to, get reacquainted with those emotions. So a lot of like psychoeducation and like almost like meditative practices can help over time, for sure. Let's see. Okay, I'm catching up, y'all. I'm sorry. Give me a second. Just want to say I love your book. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I'm so glad my book helped you. Yeah, I'm like doing readings, but today I'm just from it. But today I just wanted to have more general conversation. But before I hop off, I will let any new peeps in here who are curious know about it and all of that. Okay. And it is in TikTok shop. I still have a couple friends. friends and family members. So I'll always try to focus on what I still got. Yes, Sage, exactly. Nurturing those relationships. And while you also still explore the feelings about the losses. But I think there's probably something to maybe unpack a little bit about. Sit with what things do you feel like, what did this bring up about how you feel about yourself? See if there's something there. Like, is there something there that you're fearful is true about you or something like that because this happened to you? And it may be irrational, but if we can sit with it, we can explore and unpack where that's coming from. Because it also, if unaddressed, it could like get in the way of you forming new relationships, and we don't want that, of course. What do you advocate most for? Hi, E. Welcome in. Thanks for being here. What do I advocate most for? That is a great question. How do I summarize this? I feel like I am a huge advocate for humanity in general, all things human. I want as many people as possible to break the toxic conditioning and lies that they were taught about their mental health, about their authentic selves, the shame that they were made to feel about their emotions, and all of that. Like I advocate for doing what it will take for us to truly get to a place where people can live authentically, be deeply acquainted with themselves, and know how to deeply connect with others. So all that comes with that is what I would say. Okay, and it's me setting boundaries and saying no. My family wanted me to take custody of my cousin's kids. Oh, she relapsed. They're trying to make me feel guilty and selfish for saying no. Well, I'm so sorry to hear that all of that is going on, and especially for the kids that are having to endure that, because we already know that's trauma that's going to have to be worked through, hopefully, for their at some point in their lives sooner than later. I hope that they're able to get the support that they need, because anytime something happens to us, and especially if we're little, that means there's going to be work that needs to be done in the aftermath. There is no unbothered. There isn't, like, somebody cannot go through something traumatic and come out of it exactly the same. That's a lie we tell ourselves, but it's just not how it works. Anyway, so I'm so glad that you set the boundary, and you also really took the time to think about what, like, all of this. I'm sure you weighed all of it. I'm sure you weighed the well-being of the kids. I'm sure you weighed the, other circumstances related to your family, as well as your current circumstances. And a lot of times the guilt that people try to place, or the selfishness that people try to place on us when we don't do what they want us to do, is coming from a very minimally processed place within them, right? They're just like, these kids need somebody. That somebody should be you. And it's like, well, let's sit with more than just that, right? Again, this is the dangers of black and white thinking. People will often resort to that and say, well, if this happens, then this should always happen in response. But life shows us that that's not true. And if we want to make great decisions, not just good ones, but great ones, we have to practice processing and diving into the circumstances, and not just have this rose-colored glasses, romanticized version of events that we then build our decisions off of, and then that affects our lives in some pretty serious and significant ways. So I am sure you put a lot of thought into this decision, but try to remind yourself too that whatever they're saying to you in response is because maybe they had a different perspective about the decision, and they weren't able to weigh all the things that you were able to weigh, because it's your situation, your life. So you're privy to information they may not have. And if they maybe were willing to have a discussion with you about how you got to this decision, then they might be able to understand better. One thing too to keep in mind is that people will often say they don't understand something, when in actuality, they don't want to accept something. They use "I don't understand" and replace with "I don't accept." And, it'll be like the person who's maybe been in a relationship with someone for a long time, and then that partner decides, like, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. And let's say there was like so many conversations about what they did not like about the relationship. Like, they've been talking about it for years. And the person will be like, I don't understand why you're breaking up with me. And it's like, do you not understand, or do you not want to accept? Do you not understand, or do you not want to be forced into the grieving that's going to come, right? So people will say, I don't understand, when it's more of a I don't accept. And it's so important that we understand the difference between that. It's understandable when you don't want to accept something that is not a reality that you maybe desired to step into, but it's not the same as not understanding how you got there. And if you don't understand how you got there, usually it just means you have to do more processing. All the information is there. You just have to sit with it. But it can be really dismissive to be like, I don't understand how you came to this conclusion. Well, did you talk to me about it? Did we have a discussion? Like, do you want to understand? Or do you just want me to do exactly what you wanted me to do? And that's the only thing that you would be willing to accept, right? So we just have to remind ourselves that people are showing up in all different ways with all different kind of perspectives, and they may not be weighing these things that are very much so impacting how you got to the decision you got to. I'm going to try journaling about it. That's a great idea, Sage. What my automatic thoughts are saying as I navigate the losses. Yes. And remember, Sage, also in here, right? Because you have this. I have there's a whole section on automatic thoughts and intrusive thoughts and how to navigate those. Yeah, Christine, you can definitely, I'm going to pin this because I'm trying to be really careful, y'all, on TikTok, because you can't say some things. You can definitely get this. The way that you do is through TikTok Shop. That's all I can say. That's the only one I can say. Through TikTok Shop. DM me if you want to know the other way. Oh my gosh. Hi, haven't seen you in forever. Hi, Ali. Welcome in. It's good to see you. Yeah, Christine just sent me a message. I saw your other message where you said, how do I get that? But it is in TikTok Shop. I'm just not able to pin it here. But if you want to know always, just DM me. I'm looking. I love your wisdom and clinical lens. Thank you so much, Almas. I appreciate it. And thank you for doing the work with me. Because I see that you're a therapist. Also, people have a lot of opinions about lives they don't have to live. Yeah, preach, Lauren. They have a lot of opinions about lives they don't have to live or consequences that occur. Yeah, it's so easy to be like, well, why don't you make this decision that's going to affect every day of your life when it's not that person's life? Yeah, 100%. I'm going to pin this. For sure. That is big facts. But also, we've just been so conditioned to be so like opinionated, instead of being conditioned to have conversations for the purpose of trying to understand one another, right? A lot of people did not grow up in households where the goal was to understand each other's feelings or to understand each other's perspectives. So then they were deprived of developing skills to do that well. But we also have a responsibility to learn how to do that, no matter how old you are. Like that's on us to seek out the help to learn how to do that. Because imagine if more of us from 1 year old and up were truly conditioned to communicate for the purpose of understanding, to communicate from an emotionally regulated place, how much easier it would be for us to navigate our relationships with one another. But if you grow up in an environment where everybody just, every time they try to make a point, is yelling and screaming, using profanity, being rude, being abusive to one another, then you did not learn how to communicate. And so then you're not going to have productive conversations. But it's not because you can't learn that, but you have to first accept that, like, hey, what I was taught is not healthy. What I was taught is not communication. What I was taught was maybe how to be abusive to someone. What I was taught is how to be dysregulated and not do anything about it and just keep, projecting that onto someone else. We have to be honest with ourselves about where we're at if we want to get somewhere else. And take this from somebody who used to have, meaning me, not the best communication skills. I had to address my own unhealthy patterns in how I used to show up and how I communicated. This has not always been me. Communication is a skill. I didn't even come into the world knowing English. None of us did, right? So that's how you know it's a skill, right? So you might go, wow, Dr. Berry, I love how you speak or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's a skill that I've chosen to nurture. It's not how I was born. I was born just like you, not knowing any of these made up languages. Can people still get your book off this page too, or only the shop page? Didn't want to give out wrong info. Oh, Savannah, yes, no, they can't actually, because I linked my other TikTok page to that's a great question, to the shop. So they would have to go to, the shop Dr. Abena Berry page, or just search it in the TikTok shop. Y'all know how to search in the TikTok shop, right? Hopefully, there's like when you're on the For You page, or like where you watch videos on TikTok. If you look at the very top of the screen, you'll see the button for TikTok shop. It says shop. If you click that and then you open it or whatever once it opens, you can just search whatever you want to search, including this. Okay. And why? Yes. Yes. That's all I can say. Yeah. Online though. Online. I'll have to finally read it. It seemed monumental since I got it, but I need to prioritize that. Yes, Sage, little by little by little by little by little by little. And honestly, if you pace yourself when reading, it'll allow you to really take the time to reflect on what you're reading anyway. So why not do like 5 pages at a time or something and just take notes? The book has helped me so much, as well as my boys. We are all in a good space. That makes me so happy. That is a big part of why I wrote it and why I do what I do. I'm just trying to help people because other people have helped me. Okay, I'm catching up. No. And why no? No. Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. But it is there, right? But in the universe space. TikTok doesn't allow you to say certain things. So I can do a chapter a week, if nothing else. Yeah. Or like you said, 5 pages at a time. Absolutely. Yep. Whatever works for you, right? So if something's not working for you, then figuring out what does work is usually what we want to do for ourselves. So I probably still have like 5 more minutes to talk about another topic. And then I'll use the last few minutes to just kind of guide you all on how to continue to connect with me. Of course, following me here on TikTok is one of those ways, but there are better ways. But what other questions do people have? What other questions do people have? Give me another topic that we can talk about related to the human experience. Anything at all. Have a question about how to manage a certain emotion? Do you have a question about something related to relationships or work or literally anything? Also, just for fun, can I show you all my new water bottle? This is like so random, but I love it so much. It's huge, by the way. And I'm going to tell you why I decided to get this. Because I'm somebody who drinks a lot of water, like a lot. And I have a smaller one, I do, but that's the one I like take to the gym and things like that. But I wanted to get a really big one to take around the house because I was tired of constantly having to fill the bottle. So I highly recommend this. It's like 128 ounces. And it's like a little workout as you walk around the house. Okay, anyway. How do I get over my BD? No matter how crappy he is, I still love him. Yeah, Rose. So this one's a toughie and a great question, though. It's tough because you're still tied to that person, because since you said BD, that means you all have kids, or a kid at the very least. So part of what helps people really, quote unquote, get over, I do this just because we don't get over things, we work through them, but I know what we mean symbolically when we say get over, right? So part of how we get over someone or a relationship usually requires us to completely disconnect, right? Completely disconnect. But that can be challenging when you have to still interact with this person because of circumstances such as having a kid together. So it looks a little different, and there's an additional level of challenge because you're not able to like grieve in the same way. You're not able to like disconnect and unattach in the same way. But what I will recommend for you to like help with this process. So you said no matter how crappy he is, I still love him. So it's interesting. So what I was gonna start by saying is, are you allowing yourself to truly weigh the realities of I'm assuming there were certain behavioral patterns that were problematic. So when we process something, we also place weight on it. So this is why, like, for instance, if somebody has something traumatic happen to them, but they kind of downplay it, that's a mismanagement of placing weight, right? Because your brain is going to process it the way that you weighed it. Right. And then that is going to leave you susceptible to more trauma, right? Because you did not weigh it for what it was. Like, you're like, oh yeah, that was bad, but it wasn't that bad and I'm okay. It's like, no, you're not. And this was a horrible thing, right? So I encourage you to think about like the things that happened in the relationship and make sure that you have weighed them properly. Make sure that you have not processed them through a lens of downplaying the severity of the mistreatment. Make sure that you have acknowledged what happened for what it was. And even though it sounds like you were able to empathize, which is good, right? Empathy allows us to understand that a person's behavior is a reflection of the things that have happened up until this point for that person, and we should have deep empathy for that. We should say the fact that you have had these experiences, these traumas, these whatever, the lack of experiences, right? People not nurturing you properly, people not teaching you how to treat people well or communicate or whatever it is. The fact that you had those things there, that is sad, right? We want to weigh that for what it is. You came into the world just like every other child with potential to be the best version of yourself, and the adults around you failed you. And that is heartbreaking. Right. And then I experience the byproduct of that by being in a relationship with you. We do want to have the empathy, but we also want to make sure we are not down. Just because you're empathizing, you should not be excusing. Just because you're empathizing does not mean you should be watering down the weight of what the severity of what it was or how bad things were. If you are processing those experiences properly, right? Because like sometimes people will have been in a relationship with someone who has violated them in like horrific ways. They've slept with their family members. They've punched them. It's like, are we weighing that? Like, are we really sitting with how messed up that is? Because if you do that and you do that on a regular basis, that will usually help at the very least, the love that you're feeling shift to a different kind of love, right? Because there's different kinds of love. So you just want to make sure that you are weighing those experiences properly. Okay. Thank you, Miss Tucker. I appreciate you. That's not a bad idea for people trying to meet their water goals. Yes, exactly, Sage. Yeah, you carry this around, you'll remember to drink the water. I thought you were gonna say dollars. $128. No. Ounces. It was only I would not buy $128 water bottle. This was like $40 because it is stainless steel. Huge is an understatement. Absolutely. Like he's a deadbeat, but he's a narc, so he'll use our kids to get in my head. Well, that's a big part of it, bro. That is like a huge part of it too. If you're still having contact with him that goes outside of what is really truly bare minimum necessary, then you're constantly still being psychologically and emotionally abused. So that's going to mess with your psyche. You have to have strict boundaries. You also have to, I would never tell you what to do with your family or whatever, but you also have to think about what's best for you and your kids. And if this, again, this is what I mean, y'all, by these like black and white ways of thinking and saying it's always a good thing for a parent to be in a child's life. Is it? Have you met some people's parents? Is it? Is that child better off being exposed constantly to abuse and trauma? I don't. Right. We have to see specifics. We got to stop with the black and white ways of thinking. It does us a disservice. I know we want to believe moms are always nurturing and blah, blah, blah. That's not life. That is not, there is nothing about a person's sex chromosomes or genitalia that determines that they're going to be anything. How someone shows up in relationships, their behaviors and patterns and all of that is largely based on how they were conditioned, what they were taught or not taught. So it's not, anybody could be nurturing if you are teaching them how to be a nurturing human being, right? Like, so we have to break those rules that are doing us a disservice and really see people for people. This is what I meant by stereotype thinking is really problematic. It does us a huge disservice to believe that anyone is anything because of an identity they hold. When has that ever been true? When will that ever be true? It's not. It will never be true. That is not how the brain works. Why do I get excited when doing something new and feel horrible about it later? And why? That's a very interesting question. I wish I had more time to get into it. I would encourage you though to see if you can think back to when that maybe started, because that's very interesting. Like the feeling excited about doing something new makes total sense. Of course you feel excited about doing something new. Doing new things is exciting. Doing new things also usually brings anxiety or adrenaline, because that's a part of stepping out of our comfort zone. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So that makes sense. But feeling horrible later, it might be you coming down from the high. You might have been really excited and you're returning to baseline. My husband likes to call it returning to your baseline, because I used to think that I was really sad after social events, because I love being around people, especially people I enjoy the company of. And when I would come home or after going out or after vacation or whatever, I would think I was sad. And maybe sometimes I was, but it was more like me coming back down to baseline. So I encourage you to also see if that's possibly what's going on. Hi, Charlene. Thank you. And thank you so much for the love. I saw the gift. Thank you so, so much. Lovely. I am in Illinois. Let's see. Yeah, you can do 40. Hey, Jessica, hit me up if you want me to sing you. You know what I can't say, but yeah, hit me up. I'll tell you how to get it if you want to get the water bottle. Okay, no, you're right. Thank you so much for this. I needed to hear this out loud. You were so welcome, Ro. And really quick, before I go, y'all, because I do got to go. I have a therapy client. But really quick, number one, if you are in Illinois and looking for a new therapist and you enjoyed this live and you're curious about if we could be a great fit with one another, hit me up. Right. I do have a little, and I do mean little, availability. So first come, first serve. That's that. Second, I also do life coaching. So life coaching is a different service. If you're curious about that, you can also hit me up in the DMs on here. Ask whatever questions you have. Third thing, I got to be careful because we're on TikTok, but I wrote this. Okay. It's 5-star rated. If you want to know more about it, hit me up. It is a self-help book for healing and growth and self-evolution. It is on TikTok Shop. All humans of all identities are reading it. So it's not just for one group or anything, but it does have representation for the Black community, because we need more mental health books that do, because it helps fight stigma, and it also helps decrease not decrease. It helps improve the fact that we're underserved, right? We're underserved community, statistically and just literally. So I'm a Black doctor. So of course I wanted to be intentional to create something that had representation. But please keep in mind, representation is about people feeling seen in their cultures and their identities. But the mental health knowledge, that still applies to all humans, because we all have the same structures and parts to our brain. So it is impossible to write a mental health book that does not apply to all human beings. Because if it's a scientific mental health book, it applies to all human beings. So hopefully that makes sense. But again, you can always send me a message on here if you have questions. Josie, it was so good seeing you. Hello. I'm so glad you caught me. Charlene, I sure do. I do use Zoom. Actually, that's how I do all stuff right now. With my clients. I do have to go, y'all. I'm sending everyone love and light. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Remember to move through the world with curiosity and empathy. Remember that we are all different, and that's a beautiful thing, something to be celebrated, right? We are supposed to be excited about figuring out who we authentically are and celebrating other people for their self-discovery. We have a lot of toxic unlearning to do from humans before us that knew nothing. Well, not nothing, but they knew a lot less than we do. And we still got a lot to learn. We're supposed to be continuing to evolve in our thinking, in our behavior, not doing the same stuff. And so if you want to learn more about your brain and what we know now, that's why I get on here. That's why I made this, wrote this, all of that stuff. It's important that we seek out this knowledge. But yeah, I'll see you all next time. Hi, Knowledge. Oh, you were on. I can't say what this is, but hi. But anyway, I'll see you all next time. And thank y'all for hanging out with me. Bye-bye. Here we go. Hi, Knowledge. I don't know if you're still in here, but if you are, hello. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to hop off of here. Hi. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry I didn't even look at these comments too much because I didn't realize people were over here too. But hello. I love you guys. I will see you all next time. Bye.